Hello and welcome to our brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we're going to focus on the efforts on both levels, on the humanitarian and the diplomatic levels, to be reaching a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, according to the proposal by the US President Donald Trump that took place in Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of peace. The Egyptian resort of Sharm el-Sheikh witnessed the end of the aggression of the Israeli occupation forces against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and today we'll be shedding more light on the statements made by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi that took place today in the 42nd cultural seminar organized by the Egyptian Armed Forces on the occasion of the 52nd anniversary of the 6th of October war victory against Israel in 1973, which tackled a number of issues. One of them was the aggression in the Gaza Strip and the role of Egypt on the humanitarian level to be helping the Palestinians through the initiative of Zaid al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza, with more than 50 convoys over the past 2 years to be helping the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and on the diplomatic level to be reaching the ceasefire and the reconstruction plans held by Egypt that will be taking place. A conference will be happening here in Egypt, according to the statements of Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdulati, with the Prime Minister of Palestine, Mohammed Mustafa. The reconstruction of the Gaza Strip is the main focus for Egypt in the near future. But we'll be starting straight away with the main top stories for today. As President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, attended on Sunday the 42nd Cultural Seminar, which was organized by the Armed Forces on the occasion of the 52nd anniversary of the October War victories. Addressing the event, President al-Sisi said that victory chances were dismal during the war days, but thank God victory was destined. He said what happened in 2011 is another war that Egypt overcame peacefully, and added that its repercussions lasted for years. Sisi added that Egypt has overcome many challenges, including the coronavirus crisis. He said the efforts were exerted to stop the war on Gaza and help the Gazans, and the repercussions of the wars impact countries and their economies, adding that any war will delay the path of the nation for years. He said that the war against terrorism cost the armed forces £100 billion, and the aid wars have numerous forms, not only by weapons. He said he was optimistic about the Egyptian position now, and that he believes that the economy will improve by the efforts of the Egyptians. The president said that he had always counted on the people despite the economic hardships. He also said that the state pays attention to the public opinion, but the challenge is very big. During the ceremony at the seminar, President al-Sisi saluted the heroes of the October War, shaking hands with the veterans of the war. And to be shedding more light on the statements of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the 42nd Cultural Seminar held by the Egyptian Armed Forces on the 52nd anniversary of the 6th of October war victories against Israel, I'm honored to be having with me over the phone Ambassador Hazem Khairat, the former Assistant Foreign Minister and the former Egyptian Ambassador at Israel. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate and Nile TV International.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ahmed, and thank you. It's my honor and pleasure.
The honor is all mine. Of course, we will be shedding more light and focusing specifically on the statements of His Excellency President al-Sisi about what happened in the Gaza Strip, the efforts of Egypt on the diplomatic level and on the humanitarian level as well. First of all, the diplomatic level, how did you see the efforts, not just for Egypt over the past 2 weeks or maybe months, but over 2 years? The statements of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi against the displacement of the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, the efforts in accordance or in cooperation with the proposal of the US President Donald Trump and with the mediators Qatar and Turkey as well. How do you see the importance of the Egyptian efforts on the diplomatic level to be reaching where we are today for the Gaza Strip?
Well, let me first, of course, praise the Egyptian outstanding and efforts since the beginning. The issue is not from 2 years. The issue is not from the beginning of the 7th of October war. The Egyptian road started since 1948. Since 1946 in Shah Summit, we are always holding on our shoulder the Palestinian issue, the Palestinian problem. This is our responsibility. Egypt made the efforts through the whole history of the starting of this war. Since 1948, the war in 1948, the war in 1956, the war in 1976, the war in 1937. It's always our role. So we have a responsibility that we are always appreciating the effort of the Egyptian governments in this issue. But starting from the 7th of October, Egypt was so serious in its efforts since the beginning. And I think that our efforts reached the most important thing was, to be frank with you and to get it from the end, is the displacement or the displacement of the Palestinians. We put a red line on this displacement because the forced displacement was unacceptable. And we started our road not only by providing or trying to provide the Palestinians our assist and our help and our pressure through the Israelis, but through the international community as well. So I think that this is a normal role for the Egyptian to continue on that. And let me say also that we took the initiative to make this kind of reconstruction for the Palestinians, and we did a project for that from the beginning, and we made an estimation about $53 billion, which afterward had been increased by others. And we received in Egypt the leaders of the world, and these, or let me say the Arab world and some European leaders and Muslim Islamic leaders, to support this, and then it's been initiated or adopted by the Arab and the Muslims, this initiative. And this initiative, I think, I had the impression that it pushed President Trump, who was in the beginning talking about Gaza Riviera, that he decided with our strong position to avoid saying anything about the forced displacement. So I think from the beginning. On the other hand, I think that we are working 24 hours. The
Yes.
Egyptian diplomacy is working 24 hours. And we are working also with the Palestinians. Of course, we are working with the mediators, the Qataris and the United States.
Yes.
But Egypt has more influence. Egypt has the ability to contact all the partners, all the parts, even Israel. We
Yes,
had some
Ambassador
talks with
Hazem,
Israel as well.
Khairat, as you mentioned specifically that the efforts of Egypt were not just exerted over the past 2 years, they were exerted over the past several decades. Ambassador Hazem Khairat, the former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International and the Daily Debate. And moving on, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said that the African continent has an important role to play in challenging international polarization, which he said has weakened the ability of the multi-party institutions to address the mandates. The statement came in a recorded message to the Aswan Forum for Peace and Sustainable Development, as President al-Sisi said that Africa, with its abundant resources and huge labor force, has a great chance to be one of the leading forces for regaining global order and boosting the role of the international organizations amid the challenges. He said that the world is witnessing failure and inability by the international system to face the major humanitarian crises. He also stressed the importance of rebuilding efforts and achieving development after the end of strives. Al-Sisi also said there is need to activate the policies of the African Union to achieve peace and sustainable development. He said Africa is of the first regions to suffer from the repercussions of the current international events, which contribute to an upsurge in violence and the developmental challenges. He said that the Aswan Forum this year is of great importance since Africa is at the heart of big international challenges. And the final top story for today, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Egyptian expatriates Badr Abdelati stressed that the African continent has proven, despite the challenges, that it is a vital continent rich in resources, especially in the human resources, and that it is a major player seeking to utilize the enormous potential to build a future worthy of its people. The foreign minister said that the Aswan Forum is a platform for making the African voice heard and presenting its vision. He added that various issues will be discussed in the forum, topping of which is ways to build the creative partnerships to confront the crisis of the shortage of resources in Africa. And we will be heading to the first report of the daily debate for tonight, focusing on the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi that took place over the past week, all wrapped up in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi delivers a recorded speech during the opening of the 8th edition of Cairo Water Week, which kicks off under the theme Innovative Solutions for Climate Resilience and Water Sustainability. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives the Vice President of Global Exploration at ExxonMobil, Mr. John Ardell. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives the CEO of Apache Corporation, a global oil exploration and production company, Mr. John Christman. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives the chairman of the China National Chemical Engineering Corporation, Mr. Ding Jie. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives the Prime Minister of the Italian Republic, Giorgia Meloni, in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, on the sidelines of the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives U.S. President Donald Trump. A bilateral discussion session is held, including the delegations of both countries, before the two presidents inaugurate and co-chair the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit. On the sidelines of the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi convenes a meeting with the King of Jordan, the presidents of France and Turkey, the Emir of Qatar, and the German Chancellor, as well as the Prime Ministers of Italy, the United Kingdom and Canada, and the Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi gives a speech at the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives the President of the Sovereign Council of the Republic of Sudan, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives a phone call from the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, who began the call by congratulating President al-Sisi on the diligent efforts exerted by the Egyptian leadership and the concerned entities to reach an agreement to end the war in the Gaza Strip.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Mustafa Abbas, the international relations expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
You're welcome.
Anytime. Of course, we'll be starting with the report about the main topic for the episode for tonight, focusing on the diplomatic efforts by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati. And as we did see over the past few days, the contacts between Dr. Badr Abdel Ati and the Prime Minister of Palestine, more specifically on Friday, the Prime Minister of Palestine, Mohammed Mustafa, about the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, the conference that should be taking place here in Egypt in the next month for the benefit of the Palestinians. And on the humanitarian level, the initiative of Zaid al-Aid will be continuing its efforts to be sending more aid and distributing more aid to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip with about 400 trucks daily. We will be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati and Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa discussed the preparations for the Early Recovery, Reconstruction and Development Conference for Gaza, set to take place in Cairo in November. Both officials reviewed conference's objectives and expected outcomes, particularly regarding financing commitments and updated assessments of the scale of destruction across Gaza. Foreign Minister Abdel Ati said Egypt looks forward to broad international participation in the event, which would be held as part of the Arab Islamic Plan endorsed by Arab and Islamic states and supported by a wide range of international partners. According to the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, the discussion also covered coordination on implementing U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan, which includes provisions for Gaza's redevelopment. For his part, Mustafa praised Egypt's efforts in hosting the upcoming conference and its role in brokering the ceasefire that ended the war in Gaza, as well as its support for the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. Mustafa said that his government, in partnership with Egypt, Arab and international experts, has developed a three-phase recovery and reconstruction plan for Gaza estimated to cost $67 billion and span 5 years. The first phase, focused on meeting urgent humanitarian and infrastructure needs, will last 6 months at a cost of $3.5 billion. The second phase, lasting 3 years, will require $30 billion, while the final phase will focus on completing reconstruction and long-term recovery. Talks are ongoing with international partners to secure resources for the plan's implementation. On the ground, Egypt has sent its 51st humanitarian convoy to Gaza, carrying more than 10,000 tons of urgently needed aid, aiming to facilitate the entry of over 400 trucks per day loaded with food, fuel and medical supplies into the Strip under the latest ceasefire agreement. The convoy comes as part of Zaid al-Aid from Egypt to Gaza initiative launched on the 27th of July to support the Palestinian people amid ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The convoy includes 5,000 tons of food baskets and flour, 2,700 tons of medical and relief materials, and about 2,300 tons of petroleum products for hospitals, bakeries and water facilities across the war-torn territory. The dispatch marks a renewed surge in Egypt's humanitarian operations after months of blockade and growing international pressure for continuous aid deliveries.